is Tamara Nambiar and I will be introducing Deepika Padukone. As a celebrity, the choices she made every day were subjected to public controversy and criticism. Nonetheless, she always managed to stay strong and poised. Her formula was, be authentic, be yourself. Deepika, I have a few questions for you. When I grew up, I wanted to become an artist, a scientist, and a singer. When I read your story, you were a great badminton player but chose to become an actor. How did you choose from an actor and a badminton player?
You know, the same way that you want to be an artist and a scientist? How do you feel? You can achieve both, right? You feel like if you set your heart on something, you can do that. And then you want to do something else and you can do that too. So honestly, when I was growing up, even before I realized, I started playing professional badminton. But it's when I was a teenager, I realized that maybe this is not something that I want to continue and pursue and play professionally. And every time I watched a movie, somehow I felt like that's where I belonged. So it's my gut that told me that I wanted to transition from being an athlete to being an actor. And then I followed my gut. You know what gut is? Like your instinct, like that voice inside you that tells you what is right and what is wrong. That.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How are you?
Next, can we have Anuradha Paul, the role model, and the question that's going to be posed to her is by Anya.
What happened to the organ? Namaste. Namaskar. Oh my gosh.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Anya Ibrahim, and I've written for this book. Today, I have the honor of introducing Anuradha Pal. Her chosen journey was filled with roadblocks. She encountered discrimination for being a woman, trying to master a masculine instrument, skepticism for being young, and resistance for not hailing from a musical family. But Anuradha was not deterred. She was relentless with her discipline, training, and confidence. And I truly admire that. I have a question for Miss Anuradha Pal.
That was deliberate. Well, you know, when the one most important thing that I learned, since there's a paucity of time, I'm going straight to the point. When I went through all the discrimination, the one thing I learned was not to listen to that negativity, to focus on my goal, to focus on what I wanted to do, what my heart was telling me to do. And I knew that ultimately my passion will do the talking. And so when I went through that journey, I was dismissed at every point. I was discriminated, but my parents egged me on. Though I don't come from a musician family, they were kind enough to encourage that passion. And also, my gurus, Ustad Alar Khan, Zakir Hussain, set such exacting standards, and they basically were so uncompromising. I'll tell you a little short, an incident. I was just 15 years old when Ustad Zakir Hussain asked me to accompany him on a concert tour. And so we were traveling, and the moment I was so excited, he called me at night and he said, "What are you doing in the morning?" And I said, what am I doing? Getting up in the morning. So, so he said, meet me at the airport. And I went to the airport, and he had a flight ticket for him for Jaipur. And he said, go off to sleep. I said, but I'm so excited, I'm traveling with you. So he said, well, just go to sleep. And the first thing I learned was, he said, you're going to travel all your life, you're going to need rest. The moment you have a opportunity, go to sleep. Okay. Then I reached there, and we did this grueling tour. I was put through a drill of lots of practice and all that. Of course, earlier I had gone through 10 hours of Chilla, which is called 10 hours of practice every day for 40 days, which I followed as a routine from the time I was in school. Because I wanted to ramp up before I learn from such great gurus. And so when I went on with Zakir Bhai, he tells me that, tomorrow you're going to play a concert with, you play the concert and I'm going back to Bombay. And I said, but there are going to be eggs on my face, if I play instead of you. So he said, okay, stay up all night. And there was a Kathak dancer, and he said, sit up all night and practice with her. And I did. In this little room, I was locked up in this little room with no guidance from the master, nothing, no word. And all I had to do was learn from the beginning, whatever I had to do. The next day I performed, I kept practicing, and he kept saying he's leaving, but he didn't. Finally, in the evening, when it was time for the performance, he says, you know what, you're not playing with the dancer, but you're playing with me. I said, oh, wow, great. Thanks for letting me know a whole night I was practicing with the dancer, but that's fine. So when I get to the stage, I said, so what are you going to play? So he said, what's your age? I said, I'm 15. So, okay, so we'll play 15 beats. I said, no. I'm 16, because 16 beats is a little easier to play. So he said, no, now the damage is done. You said you're 15, play it. And I was put right into the drill. I had never learned that tal in my life, but I was put straight into the thing, and I played. By God's blessing, I somehow managed. But there was one point where I think I didn't do as well as he expected. Obviously, I was so scared. So he put me through a huge punishment. And the punishment was go up and down all the stairs and all the things. Anyway, it was a very bad punishment. So that was one thing that I learned, how to be quick-witted that day. I learned to be quick-witted, how to be adapting to the situation. And it helped me when I play with all the great masters now that I play with since I've been 13. I've been playing with all the great masters, been performing since I was 10. But that helped me a lot. So I think putting yourself to that grill and making sure that you actually surrender to learning does help. Also, I think, of course, there were many incidences like that sometimes, and through my college days, I was doing crazy things. I had a very, very crazy schedule when I was in school. By the way, to answer your question. I used to get up at 5, practice, go to school, come back at 3:30. From 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, do my homework and studies. No time to play, no time to rest, no time to do anything. 6 o'clock leave for my gurus, 7 to 10. They're all the way from Juhu to Nepean Road. Travel and come. And till 11 o'clock at night, go back to my house. Again, the next day, the same drill. So I think all these things, so I personally believe that hard work and really, really focusing and being determined about what you want to achieve is really, really important and is the driving force. What also, when you say how did I manage my time? Yes, the most important thing I would say I learned from my father was how to multitask, how to completely be focused and disciplined about everything, orderliness, timeliness, punctuality, being able to do many things. So I think all these things really, really matter. And incidentally, just to tell you in a very personal on a very personal note. You know, it was, you know, 2017 was a very bad year because I lost 5 family members. And in 2016, when my father got an epileptic seizure, it was just 3 hours before a major concert that I had. And when I was wheeling him into the ICU, he kept saying, go to your concert, focus on your goal, okay? 2017, when he passed away, 3 days after that, I had a concert right here at the Sophia Baba Hall. And my mother came to encourage me in the concert, 3 days after. Last night, I had to take my mother to the ICU. I just was up all night in the hospital looking after her, and I've just come straight from the hospital here. And the only thing she told me yesterday is, you're not going to break your commitment. You're going to stand by what you did, and that is the true meaning of being a professional. These days, people think being a professional is about how you earn money. I don't think so. I think it's about how committed and dedicated you are to whatever your art is or whatever your passion is. And it's about making sure that you stand by your word and become a person of character. And that's what I truly believe is important to be able to achieve one's goals.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuradha, and we wish your mom all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
For the next role model, let's have Moksha come up here, and she's going to pose her question to Brinda Somaya.
Hi everyone, my name is Moksha Davalor. I'm 12 years old and I have the honor of introducing our guest, Miss Brinda Somaya. So here are a couple excerpts from her story in the book. Brinda Somaya is an architect. She designs buildings. Brinda is also an urban conservationist. She protects the spaces around the new structures that she builds. In 2001, Brinda turned her attention to Badali, a little village in Gujarat that was demolished by an earthquake. Was it possible to rebuild the village exactly the way it was before the disaster? Yes, it was. Brinda did just that. So I had the honor and the opportunity to write Miss Somaya's story, and despite all my research, we came up with a couple questions for her. The first one being, I live in the US and I know you studied there. So what made you decide to move back to India and to set up your architectural firm here? And secondly, what made you decide to work publicly and volunteer to build and restore public spaces?
Well, I was just waiting outside, and one of the gentlemen there told me that I'm well dotted. So it's great to be here, and I would like to first congratulate the 3 women, Lakshmi, Reema, and Sharda, for bringing out a book for children, because this is something we all want to do and need to do desperately. As far as I'm concerned, I'm a different generation from some of the young ladies sitting here. I was in America those days. It was the 70s and 80s, and many people who went there at that time never returned. A lot of my classmates, a lot of young people, we all know that. I remember studying there, and one summer I was at Cornell Summer School, where I now happen to be a professor, and I spent the whole afternoon with a whole lot of Indian professors and their wives having lunch, and they spent the whole hour or 2 talking about India. And I saw myself maybe 20 years from then doing the same thing, and that's not what I wanted to do. I certainly did not want to be peripheral to any society in which I lived. So I had actually got admission to another master's degree. I went home. I went back to my university, and I called my mother and said, I'm coming home. And no regrets, because I think to live and work, in a country as rich in its culture, in its diversity, in its language, in its food, in its art and its culture, and feel that you are part of it, To me, that's the most important thing. And that's why I came home.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And to round up the panel, can I have Kavya come up here and pose a question to, who are we posing the question to? Dr. Seema Rao. Dr. Seema Rao, please. Thank you.
Namaste to everyone. I'm Kavya Davalor and I'm here to introduce Dr. Seema Rao. Seema Rao, first Indian woman commando trainer.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here is a passage from her story in the book. As a child, Seema was bullied. She would cringe with a mixture of helplessness and revolt, hoping for a strength that would put her on par with the bullies. Years later, after she became a medical doctor and married, her husband introduced her to martial arts. She embraced it and began her transformation from weakness to strength.